day 89 of reading through the Bible in 1 year. Today we have 1 Samuel, 25th chapter, 1 Chronicles, the 7th chapter, and the book of Acts, the 17th chapter. English Standard Version beginning at 1 Samuel, chapter 25. Now Samuel died, and all Israel assembled and mourned for him, and they buried him in his house at Ramah. Then David rose and went to the wilderness of Paran, and there was a man in Maon whose business was in Carmel. The man was very rich. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. He was shearing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife Abigail. The woman was discerning and beautiful, but the man was harsh and badly behaved. He was a Calebite. David heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing his sheep. So David sent 10 young men, and David said to the young men, "Go up to Carmel, go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus you shall greet him, 'Peace be to you, and peace be to your house, and peace be to all that you have. I hear that you have shears. Now your shepherds have been with us, and we did them no harm, and they missed nothing all the time they were in Carmel. Ask your young men, and they will tell you. Therefore let my young men find favor in your eyes, for we come on a feast day. Please give whatever you have at hand to your servants, to your son David." When David's young men came, they said all this to Nabal in the name of David, and then they waited. And Nabal answered David's servants, "Who is David? Who is the son of Jesse? There are many servants these days who are breaking away from their masters. Shall I take my bread and my water and my meat that I have killed for my shearers and give it to men who come from I do not know where?" So David's young men turned away and came back and told me all this. And David said to his men, "Every man strap on his sword." And every man of them strap on his sword. David also strapped on his sword. And about 400 men went up after David, while 200 remained with the baggage. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, "Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to greet our master," and he railed at them. "Yet the men were very good to us, and we suffered no harm, and we did not miss anything when we were in the fields, as long as we went with them. They were a wall to us, both by night and by day, all the while we were with keeping the sheep. Now therefore know this, and consider what you should do, for harm is determined against our master and against all his house. And he is such a worthless man that one cannot speak to him." Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 skins of wine, and 5 sheep already prepared, and 5 seahs of parched grain, and 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on donkeys. And she said to her young men, "Go on before me. Behold, I come after you." But she did not tell her husband Nabal. And as she rode on the donkey and came down under cover of the mountain, behold, David and his men came toward her, and she met them. Now David had said, "Surely in vain have I guarded all that this fellow has in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that belonged to him, and he has returned me evil for good. God do so to the enemies of David, and more also, if by morning I leave so much as one male of all who belonged to him." When Abigail saw David, she hurried and got down from the donkey and fell before David on her face and bowed on the ground. And she fell at his feet and said, "On me alone, my lord, be the guilt. Please let your servant speak in your ears, and hear the words of your servant. Let not my lord regard this worthless fellow Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, your servant, did not see the young men of my lord whom you sent. Now then, my lord, as the Lord lives, and also your soul lives, because the Lord has restrained you from blood guilt and from saving with your own hand. Now then, let your enemies and those who seek to do evil to my lord be as Nabal. And now let this present that your servant has brought to my lord be given to the young men who follow my lord. Please forgive the trespass of your servant, for the Lord will certainly make my lord a sure house, because my Lord is fighting the battles of the Lord, and evil shall not be found in you so long as you live. If men rise up to pursue you and to seek your life, the life of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of the living in the cave of the Lord your God, and the lives of your enemies he shall sling out from hollow of a sling. And when the Lord has done to my Lord according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you, and has appointed you prince over Israel, my Lord shall have no cause of grief or pangs of conscience for having shed blood without cause, or for my Lord taking vengeance himself. And when the Lord has dealt well with my Lord, then remember your servant. And David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. Blessed be your discretion, and blessed be you who have kept me this day from blood guilt, and from avenging myself with my own hand. Discretion, my gosh. Blessed be your discretion, and blessed be you who have kept me this day from blood guilt, and from avenging myself with my own hand. For surely as the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, who has restrained me from hurting you, unless you had hurried and come to meet me, truly by morning there had not been left to Nabal as much as one male. Then David received from her hand what she had brought him, and he said to her, Go in peace to your house. See, I have obeyed your voice, and I have granted your petition. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he was holding a feast in his house like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunk. So she told him nothing at all until the morning light. In the morning, when the wine had gone out of Nabal, the wife told him these things, and his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. And about 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be the Lord, who has avenged the insult I received at the hand of Nabal, and has kept back his servant from wrongdoing. The Lord has returned the evil of Nabal on his own head. Then David sent and spoke to Abigail to take her as his wife. When the servants of David came to Abigail at Carmel, they said to her, David has sent us to you to take you to him as his wife. And she rose and bowed with her face to the ground, and said, Behold, your handmaid is a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord. And Abigail hurried and rose and mounted a donkey, and her 5 young women attended her. She followed the messengers of David and became his wife. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and both of them became his wives. Saul had given Michal, his daughter, David's wife, to Pattai, the son of Lash, who was of Galim. Now, 1 Chronicles, the 7th chapter. 1 Chronicles, the 7th chapter. The descendants of Ishar. The sons of Ishar, Tola, Pu, Jezbub, and Shemron 4. The sons of Tula, Uzi, Raphana, Jerel, Jamai, Ibsam, Shemuel, heads of their fathers' houses, namely of Tulai, mighty warriors of their generations, their number in days of David being 22,600. The son of Uzi, Azariah, and the sons of Azariah, Michael, Obadiah, Joel, and Ishah. All of 5 of them were chief men, and along with them by their generations according to their fathers' houses were units of the army for war, 36,000. For they had many wives and sons. Their kinsmen belonging to all the clans of Ishar were in all 87,000 mighty warriors enrolled by genealogy. The sons of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, and Jediel, 3. The sons of Belai, Ezban, Uzi, Uzel, Jeremuth, and Iri. 5. Heads of the fathers' houses, mighty warriors, and their enrollment by genealogy was 22,034. The sons of Bashir, Zimmerah, Joash, Elaziar, Eloman, Imri, Jermuth, Abijah, Anatoth, and Alameth. All these were the sons of Becher, and their enrollment by genealogies according to their generations as heads of their fathers' houses, mighty warriors, was 20,200. The sons of Jediel, Bilhan, and the sons of Bilhan, Jeush, Benjamin, Yehid, Jeshan, Zethan, Tarshish, Asheshar. All these were the sons of Jediel, according to the heads of their fathers' houses, mighty warriors, 17,200, able to go to war. And Shupim and Hupim were the sons of Ushim and the son of Aher. Descendants of Naphtali. The sons of Naphtali, Jazel, Ginig, Jezir, and Shalom, the descendants of Bilhah. The sons of Manasseh, Asarel, whom his Araman concubine bore. She bore Machir, the father of Gilead, and Machir took a wife for Huppim, and for Shupim the name of his sister was Mahach, and the name of the second was Zelophehad, and Zelophehad had daughters, and Mahach, the wife of Machir, bore a son, and she called his name Parish, and the names of his brothers were Shirish, and his sons were Ulam and Rakim. The sons of Ulam, Abedon, these were the sons of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, and his sister Hamelech bore Ishhad, Abazir, and Maha. The sons of Shemedad were Ahan, Shechem, Lekeh, and Elam. The sons of Ephraim, Shehut, and Berid, his son, Tahuth, his son Eliad, his son Tahuth, his son Zebed, his son Zehuth, his son Elzir, and Eliad, whom the men of Gath, who were born in the land, killed, because they came down to raid their livestock. And Ephraim, their father, mourned many days, and his brothers came to comfort him. And Ephraim went in to his wife, and she conceived and bore a son, and he called his name Berah, because disaster had befallen his house. His daughter was Sherah, who built lower and upper Beth-horon, and Ezin Sheri. Rapah was his son, Resphah his son, Telhah his son, Tahan his son, Ladan his son, Ammihud his son, Elishama his son, Nun his son, Joshua his son. And their possessions and settlements were Bethel and its towns, and to the east Naran, and to the west Gezer and to its towns, and Shechem and its towns, and Aha and its towns, also in possession of the Manassites, Beth Shean and its towns, Tanakh and its towns, Megiddo and its towns, Dor and its towns. In these lived the sons of Joseph, the sons of Israel. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Bere, and their sister Sarah. The sons of Bere, Heber, and Melchah, who fathered Beraz. Heber fathered Japheth, Shemot, Hatham, and their sister Shua. The sons of Japhat, Bashk, Bimhal, Ashvath. These are the sons of Japhat. And the sons of Shemer, his brother Rogag, Jehuba, and Aram. The sons of Hilam, his brother, Zophah, Emnah, Shilish, and Amah. The sons of Zophiah, Sur, Harempan, Shum, Bere, Emra, Bezir, Hud, Shamin, Shilishe, Ethran, and Bera. The sons of Jether, Jephthah, Bispa, and Ara. The sons of Ula, Ara, Hana, and Rizah. All of these were men of Asher, heads of fathers, households approved, mighty warriors, chiefs of the princes. Their numbers enrolled by genealogies for service in the war was 26,000 men. And lastly, for day 89, will be the book of Acts, the 17th chapter. Now when they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, and they came to Thessalonica, where there was a synagogue of the Jews, and Paul went in, and as was his custom on the 3 Sabbath days, he reasoned with them from the Scriptures, explaining and proving that it was necessary for the Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead, and saying, "This Jesus, whom I proclaim to you, is the Christ." And some of them were persuaded and joined Paul and Silas, as did a great many of the devout Greeks, and not a few of the leading women. But the Jews were jealous, and taking some wicked men of their rabble, they formed a mob and set the city in an uproar and attacked the house of Jason, seeking to bring them out to the crowd. And when they could not find them, they dragged Jason and some of the brothers before the city authorities, shouting, "These men who have turned the world upside down have come here also, and Jason has received them, and they are all acting against the decrees of Caesar, saying that there is another king, Jesus." And the people in the city authorities were disturbed when they heard these things, and when they had taken money as security from Jason and the rest, they let them go. The brothers immediately sent Paul and Silas away by night to Berea, and when they arrived, they went into the Jewish synagogue. Now these Jews were more noble than those in Thessalonica. They received the word with all eagerness, examining the scriptures daily, to see if these things were so. Many of them therefore believed, with not a few Greek women of high standing as well as men. But when the Jews from Thessalonica learned that the word of God was proclaimed by Paul at Berea, also they came there too, agitating and stirring up the crowds. Then the brothers immediately sent Paul off on his way to the sea, but Silas and Timothy remained there. Those who conducted Paul brought him as far as Athens, and after receiving a command for Silas and Timothy to come to him as soon as possible, they departed. Now while Paul was waiting for them at Athens, his spirit was provoked within him as he saw the city was full of idols. So he reasoned in the synagogue with the Jews and the devout persons, and in the marketplace every day with those whom happened to be there. Some of the Epicurean and Stoic philosophers also conversed with him, and some said, "What does this babbler wish to say?" Others said, "He seems to be a preacher of foreign divinities," because he was preaching Jesus and the resurrection. And they took him and brought him to the Areopagus, saying, "May we know what this new teaching is that you are presenting? For you bring some strange things to our ears. We wish to know, therefore, what these things mean." Now all of the Athenians and all the foreigners who lived there would spend their time in nothing except telling or hearing something new. So Paul, standing in the midst of the Areopagus, said, "O men of Athens, I perceive that in every way you are very religious, for I passed along and observed the objects of your worship. I found also an altar with the inscription, 'To the unknown God.' What therefore you worship as unknown, this I proclaim to you. The God who made the world and everything in it, being Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by man, nor is he served by human hands as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all mankind life and breath and everything. And he made from one man every nation of mankind to live on all the face of the earth, having determined allotted periods and boundaries of their dwelling place, that they should seek God, in the hope that they might feel their way toward him and find him. It is actually not far from each one of us, for in him we live and move and have our being, as even some of your own poets have said, for we are indeed his offspring. Being then God's offspring, we ought not to think that the divine being is like gold or silver or stone, an image formed by the art and imagination of man. The times of ignorance God overlooked, but now he commands all people everywhere to repent, because he has fixed a day on which he will judge the world in righteousness by a man whom he has appointed. And of this he has given assurance to all by raising him from the dead." Now when they heard of the resurrection of the dead, some mocked, but others said, "We will hear you again about this." So Paul went out from their midst, but some men joined him and believed, among whom were Dionysius the Areopagite, and a woman named Damaris, and others with them. That's the end of day 89, 1 Samuel the 25th chapter, 1 Chronicles the 7th chapter, and the book of Acts the 17th chapter.